logistics are inadequate, we have highlighted in red, and these are the places where the traffics are inadequate. Yeah. Now we are also advising commodity-specific ports and terminals, especially for new cargoes like automobile, which is a high growth area for India. It's possible to set up dedicated terminals adjacent to the container terminals. And we need to have a lot of general cargo and multi-purpose berths, because many of these berths can take care of the sudden spurt in demand of traffic. And it has been seen in Paradip, for example, iron ore, when the volumes really increased, it was the general purpose, multi-purpose berths which were handling that cargo. In future, if the demand does not materialize, so we need to consider that as part of a strategy framework for building up capacities. And of course, the most important thing is modernization of handling equipment. Significant capacities can be built up by changing the equipments, which represent the weakest link in the entire capacity chain. In terms of competition, we have examined inter-cluster competition, like Mumbai cluster competes with the Gujarat cluster for a lot of cargoes, especially in the container side. That is already happening. We have also seen for iron ore, there is a east and west coast clusters which compete with each other. So the competition has to be encouraged at all levels. Intra-cluster competition between federal ports and state ports, inter-cluster competition which will be governed more by the hinterland logistics and the linkages issue. And we feel the competition is going to increase a sizable capacity. Like in telecom, it has happened that competition has led to a large increase in capacity. Of course, many of the projects have to come through public-private partnership. I don't really understand, probably Bala will explain this better, but what exactly you mean by that. But what I really understand is that both the government, the various stakeholders, they come together and come together to build up the capacities. What we are recommending is that there has to be a supply-driven port capacity build-up. We should smoothen the capacity build-up by increasing the capacity at the weakest link. Private sector participation has led in the last few years to build up capacities both at federal ports as well as at state ports. We need to maintain and continuously track the demand at global. We feel there is a lack of national planning as far as the traffic is concerned of various commodities. We need to create flexible capacities. We've seen some of the private developers we're working with, they're developing berths which they feel could be utilized subsequently for liquids and containers. So today they may be building it for containers. So it's similar kind of approach because commodities they change pretty rapidly. Is a possibility. Iron ore and coal, it's possible. Some of the equipments can also be brought to handle flexible and multiple cargoes. And the creation of capacity should be at least for a 20-year perspective. Government needs to really look at how various basic marine infrastructure, especially channel breakwaters, connectivity projects will be taken care of. But the creation of these could lead to sizable externalities. Yeah, so thank you, and I would like to ask whatever issues that you feel are there from your perspective, and we and probably IPA, our partner, would like to tell you a few things. And of course, Anjan is going to take over and he'll moderate this particular discussion. Thank you.
I'll just throw open for questions. Before asking a question, please tell your name and the company you represent. We have half an hour for this session.
Good afternoon. I'm Indrajit Sengupta from MSc India. I just want a question. You talked about commodity growth, but you're not briefed on that. Can you just elaborate more as to what is the commodity mix that you looked at while forecasting the commodity growth across the various regions?
Okay, no problem. See, we've done the commodity growth rates for containerized cargo. Rest of the commodities, dry bulk and liquids, have already been considered. Now, for the containerized cargo, we have taken there's something like 50 odd commodities on which we have grouped into various subgroupings, and we have these are agriculture commodity, engineering goods, automobile, textiles, a number of these commodities. And we have looked at the growth prospects of each of these commodities, and then we have we try to look at what would be the volume of traffic generated based by these commodities from various cargoes. For example, textiles, it is there probably in 7 to 8 clusters all over India. So we have looked at the past traffic pattern because we have data relating to last few years of how these commodities have grown in various clusters. We have some macro understanding of the commodity growth rate based on India's position in the global markets for these commodities. And then we have arrived at the forecast for individual commodities. So these 50 forecasts eventually have been grouped into around 10 different forecasts, both for import and export cargoes. And then that has been used to build up a bottoms-up scenario for the growth of containerized cargo from these commodities. In India, many of these commodities travel, to the port side. They can get containerized at the factory itself. Many of them, they come to ICDs, which are in the hinterland, for getting stuffed. They could also come directly to the port side CFSs and get containerized there. And same thing happens for import commodities also. So in India, the pattern is fairly complex, and they can also choose a rail and road mix. So to understand the model at the grassroots level is very key to determine how the traffic will take place, what kind of, which centers the traffic buildup will be there, what capacities, hinterland connectivity is required. So we have factored many of these issues in our final work.
Okay, thank you.
My name is Sathe. I'm working as a consultant. My basic question is, perhaps the study has been attempted to determine in the next 15 or 20 years what should be the augmentation of the port capacity. And the study is apparently based on the documents, that is the NMDP program, which envisages accommodation of capacity of the 12 major ports. So the point is, have you analyzed the philosophy or the basis on which this assumption has been made that the 12 major ports itself would add a capacity of another 524 million tons in the next 10 years without developing many more state ports or the minor ports along the coast? The point what I'm trying to make out is that if container traffic, what is being projected, going up from say 5 million TEUs, maybe 15 million TEUs or 24 million TEUs, is to be handled at the Indian ports, NMDP program envisages that it could be handled to the extent of about 15 million TEUs at the 12 major ports. The point what I'm trying to make out is...
Mr. Sathe, I think I've got your question. What you're saying is whether this one is totally dependent on, the study has been dependent on NMDP. It's not. It's been done from bottoms up,
No, that is
tracking each and every commodity.
That is as far as the traffic projections are concerned, but taking into account the locations where it should be developed, have you given any thought to that, or your exercise has been only to project the traffic projections?
Yeah, I'll just explain. See, we have taken NMDP as one of the base for looking at it. One is the traffic side, which is fairly okay. That is one projection. But when it comes to supply, there is a capacity which could come under state ports. There could be a capacity which is being enunciated in NMDP, which is by the federal ports, the major ports which is there. Now, we have not really tried to say which port is going to create the capacity. What we have said is, at let's say Paradip cluster, which has Jatadhari, which has Paradip port, which has Dhamra, and which has Gopalpur. I mean, the cluster is defined in that way. Now,